Hey gorgeous, I'm so excited to introduce you to this show today. But before I go on, my name is Ingrid Anna and welcome to the Divine Femme Money Show. This is the juiciest conversation for women about money, power, sensuality, relationships, and business. So rich women, gorgeous women solve problems with speed and excellence. In this episode, 500K Femme CEO, I'm going to really lay it on the line about the fastest, most simple, streamlined process to reach that 500K income per annum. And I cannot wait to share the juice of this episode with you. If you want to get cashed up, loved up, and aligned as a coach, healer, and consultant, and you want to make consistent income with predictability and ease, this is for you. Because F the shame, scarcity, and sickness that comes from disowning your power, but also it comes from not having the systems and the strategies and the automations in place. I really want to ensure that we take your whole level of awareness to another level. So let's get this show on the road. You can find the Divine Femme Money Show at your favorite podcast provider and at ingridanna.com/show. Hello, gorgeous, beautiful women. Welcome. And we're about to get this divine 500K Femme CEO class started. One of the most important things that I really want to mention today before we really dive into this content, I talk about it's going to take 6 months. It could take 3 months, it could take 6 months, it could take a year, it could take 2 years. It's going to be very dependent on where you're at, your mindset, your energy, your frequency, your habits, and your behaviors, and also what support you have. So there's no, when I'm talking about making, whether it's $500,000, $1 million, $10 million, there's literally no judgment around that. And in order for you to have a really abundant, beautiful life, that's very dependent on each individual woman and what your desires are. It might be a 6K income. It might be, 20K a month, which ends up being 240K, for example, a year. Never feel sort of guilty or uncomfortable if I'm talking about big numbers, because really at the end of the day, I was just happy at the beginning to make my first 6 figures. I thought it was huge. My first 20K month was massive. We now do over at least 200K a month, potentially more. Sometimes we do over 100K plus a week. Now, the whole energy around everything that I teach and everything that we do here at Ingrid Anna is it's about the economic, personal, and energetic empowerment of women. Making 6 figures a year is great. And once you begin to pay taxes and hire staff, and if you choose to really build a divine sacred empire with a divine sacred nourishing life, and you really want to have the impact, which I'm going to go through today, and it's going to really start with your core offer. And how you really begin to structure your company. So I'm going to go absolutely into that today. So you're really clear about what you need to have in place. So I was mentioning that a divine client of mine, Vero, she started when she joined 7-Figure Diva Mind, one of my high-end divine masterminds, she was at about, I think, 7K, if she was lucky, a month working in corporate social media. She was working for a big company in Canada. She's French-Canadian. And then she quickly doubled, and then she doubled again. I remember it was a huge milestone for her, massive, to reach the 30K. Then it was 50, then it was 60, and just this month she had her first $84,000 month. So this is all possible for you. When I said, at the beginning of this session, I was talking about really ensuring that you have the right structure in place. This type of scale and the speed of scale and having your sanity in check and your time, that time freedom that everybody wants, it's going to not be a one-on-one high ticket offer, okay? You could try to do it that way, but you're going to reach a kind of point where you won't be able to grow unless you begin to hire other coaches under you. So the method that we teach is having a scalable, divine, soulful system that delivers incredible value to your clients. It gets incredible results, but it also ensures that you have that freedom. So at the heart of everything that we're doing as well is we're looking to, on social media, build real connections that translate into reliable sales. So I really want to ensure that that word, reliable, consistent, it's streamlined, it becomes dependable, it becomes something that you can almost guarantee because you have the right system and structure in place. And one of the key things that I see that's missing so much, even if people come to us where they're already selling courses, programs, masterminds, high ticket offers, is that the message, the structure of the offer is either too packed, not packed enough, there's not enough of a methodology and a process, what we call your intellectual property that takes people from problem to solutions. So sometimes I see really talented, great entrepreneurs kind of be a little bit immature and rush too much when it comes to creating the process and the journey that a client goes on. So I was explaining to my students the other day that when you're mapping out a curriculum, and we're teaching our students, by the way, how to create high ticket group offers, masterminds, and another thing that we're renowned for that people are making serious money from is also teacher trainings. So it might be a coaching curriculum, it might be a trauma release program, and in Vero's case, for example, it's a social media training, teaching women how to become social media managers. So when you create that, right, when you create that offer, it has to be chunked down. You might call it modules and things like that. It's beyond just a module. It's every bite-sized piece of content that creates the whole, right? So it's got to be incredibly cohesive. Now, this is not something that needs to take a long time, but it is something that really needs to be well mapped out and well thought out. And what we do in Six Figure Diva, which is my first tier program going from 0 to 6 figures, and then 6 to 7 is 7 Figure Diva, is we go through that with you in a very deep way. We offer incredible support, and that incredible support allows our students to get incredible results, right? And to really create the right structure from the get-go, okay? Is everyone hearing what I'm saying? It's just such an important point to make, because sometimes people have these big numbers that they want to bring forward and it doesn't have a solid foundation. I was thinking about you all and really tapping into the energy of all of you today, and myself included, around some of the very important grounding exercises that you also might want to do over the next few days. I'm changing up this content today because I really want to serve you in varied ways. And one of the most important things to do is to get really, really grounded and take a few deep breaths. Even you can do this really now. Just take, even if you're sitting at a desk, or just put your feet into the floor. But later on, if you can get into nature on the weekend, and really tap in and take some breaths really deeply into your womb space and ask yourself, what am I really committed to birthing? How do I really want to work? How do I really want it to feel? What is the highest calling of your sacred work that you're here to unveil and teach? I've mentioned this before because at the end of the day, you have to be so clear on the message and the purpose. It comes before any of the work that we're going to be sharing today around monetization, productization, and automation of your business. Okay? You have to be very attuned to your calling, and then you need to slow down and ensure that the structure is really on point. Otherwise, you're going to do what I did and what many divine women do, is you run around in chaos, spinning your wheels, chasing all the shiny objects, hustling really hard, offer bombing people, and it's just not at the point of not only being grounded, but having the vibrational resonance of service and abundance combined. Okay. Is everyone feeling me? Who's committed to doing some really deep work on the weekend to really ground yourself and take some time to really ask your body and your soul what you're creating over the, say, in the next 6 months or year and 2 years? Because what we teach here is legacy brands. You're able to teach this work and create an incredible program and process that you're able to teach for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, depending on how old you are and whether you pass it on to your children or to family members, to really build an incredible platform that will stand the test of time. Now, I can't see any comments and I won't distract myself. Chris, do you have anything, any feedback, or can you see anything, or are you just too busy on the tech?
I'm loving it.
Okay, great. Okay, girlfriends, we are going to dive into this right now. Okay, so I'm going to go into the structure and the systems that we teach in order for you to have that consistency, the predictability. But at the end of the day, you know, we get a lot of women who come to us and they're sort of, you know, they don't know whether to trust us and they've been burned by other coaches and all of that. I just want to say, put that to the side, because really at the end of the day, focus on what you want now. Focus on the type of support you want to manifest, the sisterhood you want to manifest, the clients you want to manifest, the money you want to manifest, the freedom, the impact, and all of that. Let's get you into a future pacing state where you're embodying the energy of what you want, not what you don't want. Okay, that's very, very important. Basic manifestation 101. Okay, so I've got this diagram. Chris might put it up for just a second. Do you want to just put it up for 1 second and then I'll draw it? Because I was a bit nervous about my drawing skills, which are just horrendous. Do you see the golden triangle?
Okay.
So the golden triangle, can you all see that on the screen? Is it up, Chris? Yep. Everyone good? Okay, so the golden triangle is all about ensuring that that offer to begin with is friggin' set up. It's like a golden pinnacle. It is the holy grail and the heart of your business. It has a vibrational life of its own. So we talk a lot about, you know, getting paid your worth. You hear it everywhere. I talk about it a lot. But something I don't really talk about that has served me so deeply is a law of, I was going to say the law of relevancy, that's one, but the law of reciprocity, generosity, real mastery of your craft, and ensuring that that offer is so liquid gold, right? It is so divine and sacred and yummy that when people see it, they're like, I've got to have it. It's answering my prayers, okay? So yes, that's where we go into client avatar and all that kind of deep work. But the thing that I excel at, I am bar none, probably one of the best, if I do say so myself, because I've been doing this for 6 to 7 years. I've worked with many multimillionaires, many high-level businessmen, women, copywriters. I've become incredibly proficient at creating incredible brands. So whether it's just not the pretty picture, it's the vibrational essence, the wording, the messaging, the IP that makes a product saleable and scalable, okay? And you can feel it when you see one of those offers. You're like, boom, it literally has a life force of its own. Okay, so the golden triangle, I'm gonna be writing right now. You can bring me up if you want, Chris, it's up to you. And you can maybe segue between both of the me and the diagrams. What, sorry? Oh, mate, you're very tricky, thank you. Awesome, very talented, I'm happy you're here. Okay, so basically I kind of did these as arrows. I don't know if I'll get it right, but it's basically a triangle. So at the top of your triangle, really you're going to have, you know, well, it's really the why and your purpose, which I don't have on there, but that's what we were talking about at the beginning. You know, what is the message? What are you so passionate about that will get you up every single day? The money is behind your why. It's something that's got to really deeply activate you because you're so lit up and turned on that you can't help but activate others. Now, the next part obviously is the offer. So we're talking about that. Now, your offer has to be positioned in a way that allows for obviously the big impact, which sort of makes common sense. But if you don't have the right IP and the right process mapped out in a very cohesive, beautiful, divine, which we call the sacred journey. It's a process of initiation, no matter what genre you're working in, whether you're a business coach, a branding expert, a healer, a mystic, a shaman, a counselor, a trauma release expert, a love coach, or a manifestation expert, naturopath, copywriter. You are, if you're teaching copy, for example, high conversion copy, it's all a process. So that's got to be on point. then you want to ensure that the impact then is there through that IP and that it delivers on its word. Obviously, all training, online education training programs and all curriculums only really get a result when there is a co-creation. Yes?
Kinga just asked, what is IP?
Oh, intellectual property, which I'll go into in a moment. So that's basically like, I'll map it out in a second and go back to that question. Can you remind me, Chris, if I go off? So thank you, Kinder, for asking the question. The question that was asked is, what is IP? And I'll explain it in a second. And then impact is, you know, that incredible result, the outcome, the promise that you are ensuring is there because you've developed your IP so well. Don't worry, I'll break that down. And then in order to have the freedom, you can work from anywhere, but it's also that your time, when you begin to get say 10 clients a month, then 10 clients a week, or even 10 clients a day, your freedom and your time is not diminished, okay? And that is really what I would call the holy grail of online business or any business. This is what we all really want and aspire to, because in the end, if you don't have that in place, you're going to drive yourself and your energy into the ground. And I have been both energetically and strategically working on this since actually probably my whole life. It hasn't just been in this business, it's been my whole journey to not follow a patriarchal kind of system, to not follow a broken system that doesn't really work. It's not like you can have the freedom, you know, down the line. You want to create that structure from the get-go, okay? Now, obviously, you're going to have to work and learn, and there's this beautiful, you know, process of having to literally embed. It's like going to do a uni degree or any course or curriculum. When you're wanting to master it, there's going to be a high level of dedication that needs to happen. But like anything, once you learn it, it becomes an embedded framework, an embedded belief system, an embedded behavioral system. Okay, so just for one moment, I'm going to go into IP. So IP, so for example, is, say in my 6-Figure Diva program, I have 6 core modules and many bonus modules, but 6 core modules. And it goes from packaging diva, sales diva, video diva, it might be, I can't remember all the divas, but marketing diva, pricing diva, and all of that. So basically, in order to create your process, and I was explaining this the other day to 7-Figure Diva, I said if you have, say, 8 modules as a curriculum, which is part of your intellectual process, there's sort of 2 things here. One is the curriculum. So your curriculum of your program is part of your IP process. You can even pare it back a step further and have a foundational piece of IP. And that foundational piece of IP, so for us, is this deep aligned energetic structure, or the emotional IQ, the energetic framework of a business. Then you have the one-on-one and hot seat coaching, and then you have the curriculum, or you might have it as 3 pillars or a 5-pillar process or a framework that kind of is the overall process or IP of your whole entire company, because you may eventually have a couple of different programs under your core company structure. And that IP, dependent on, you know, really what you're bringing forward in your different programs, may be the sort of overarching IP for every program. I'm probably getting a little bit complex here. So I'll show you an example of that in a moment more deeply. But so for example, if you have 8 modules and each module has 3 core components, you have got 24 key kind of milestones that people need to reach for the core outcome. Now, this is not for one-on-one work. I mean, you could have a process like this for one-on-one work, but you're usually going to create this, because usually when you're working one-on-one, you can get very unique and very specific kind of and go with what that person kind of needs. At the end of the day, with my curriculums, like it's honestly the best thing to do rather than come to work with me one-on-one, because I couldn't even deliver probably half of what I do in, say, a 6-month container than what I would do one-on-one over, say, a 6-month period of time, because the curriculum is so vast. It's taken me, a whole lot of time to sort of pack that in. But at the end of the day, you could do this for private, but really now what we're talking about is creating that saleable, scalable product. So you've then got these 24 components. So you go away and you write, say, your I can't even do it properly, sorry. Your 8 pieces, and then under each of those, you'll have like 3 core big breakthroughs that you want them to get. So you've chunked down those 24 pieces. And that is a very simplified example of developing your IP. Now, always the IP will go from problem to solution. So if you're like wondering, like, what do I create? So for example, sometimes I'll use my body love process. So I created a process. It was actually called Body Love Diet. Diet standard for daily intuitive energy transformation. I won't write that out because you won't be able to read it. Daily intuitive energy transformation. I wrote this book when I was healing from my own eating disorder. I studied mind-body medicine, and I wanted to teach people how to restore their central nervous system, how to go from a stress response to a pleasure, a relaxation response to heal the body, because you can only heal in a relaxed state. And I was using the law of energy, prayer, invocation, and vision, and radical deep karmic healing to calm the central nervous system and really reshape the body through an energetic shift. If you can catch on with that, that is an example of a very strong IP process, right? And then say the chapters of the book become a deeper level or a more bite-sized, chunked down methodology of your core pillared process. So this is what we teach in our curriculums, especially in 7-Figure Diva, where we really go from problem to solution. So if someone has, say, if you're taking someone to body love, that's a solution. The problem is usually, say, body hate. Now, where there's a level of, and it's sort of like, I go, oh my God, with people when I'm getting really deep into structures and processes and copywriting and messaging is, I've really, in anything that I've ever created, the really important aspect that I've made sure that I didn't jump, skip, and rush through is really understanding why. Why is that person in pain? Why are they struggling with making money? Why are they struggling with body hatred and self-attack and self-betrayal? Understand, you've got to understand, and that will help build your curriculum. It will also help build your content strategy, your marketing strategy, every video, every ad, every webinar. You do not want to spend one dime on Facebook advertising until you have this down, honestly, because your stuff will fall flat. I was reviewing a couple of offers the last few days, and I was speaking to some woman, and she had this tagline, and I'm really like, well, but what will that really do for me? Like if I'm going to give you my credit card to pay for an offer that's 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever it is, see, you will pay. People will pay for their problems to be solved, but you have to articulate it and communicate it in such a way that they get it so deeply. And most entrepreneurs who are in this space don't really get what they're even selling, and they really haven't drilled down the problem, okay? And so that will then breed insecurity. So a big fear is showing up online, but if you have a structure for your videos, if you have a structure for your webinars, your trainings, your 3-part video series, because you know exactly what the problem is, you understand the very thought and struggle, you basically have taken an inside view into the mindset and the energy of that person, then you begin to be able to create all the IP and the structures and the messaging that is going to get you that attention. Okay? This is something that we do from the get-go in all of our programs, and it means sales. When someone gets this down and they articulate it and verbalize it and speak up with that clarity and with that positioning there, this full, incredible activation and flow and intimacy begins. I had a few features in Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm actually getting interviewed by Entrepreneur on their podcast, Entrepreneur Magazine, next week. And one of the core features that people keep coming back to with me is what I call the currency of connection. The connection is always going to come through what I've just talked about, currency of connection. Every sale will come through currency of connection. Do not skip this. If I just taught you this, every single cent of my programs would be worth it, because this is the conversion strategy that people miss. Now, I have built many multi-million dollar funnels, okay? So I'm not speaking out of my ass. I know exactly what to do here. Now, when I was first starting and I sold my first 6K, and then I went to launch my first mastermind, which is the process that I teach, I had a lot of experience in branding. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I put my whole heart and soul into it, and I did a lot that was right. So I created, and we're almost running out of paper. That's okay. I've got some extra, no, okay. I did this, and I'll show you the next graphic because it kind of summarizes this. But it was really at the end of the day when you get what you're offering down. So I had my core beautiful offer, and then I started running traffic. So you've got your traffic here that leads to your, say, your opt-in or your, lead magnet, whatever you want to call it. Then that goes to the sale or the client, right? I do have a diagram for that, Chris, that you can actually bring up. So traffic, nurture, client. So your opt-in really is all about nurturing. Your traffic is getting these leads and reaching the 2 billion people on the planet who are on Facebook or YouTube or whatever platform you want to use. I always suggest focusing on one social media platform. It might be Instagram. I have clients with multi-six-figure businesses who do the majority of their promo on Instagram. I have people with massive YouTube followings who, well, not even massive. I have ones that are pretty big who haven't monetized, and they've come with us and had 100K weeks, but they weren't really utilizing the platform in the best way. But anyway, choose one particular platform. I started with Facebook. So I ran traffic to a nurture sequence. The nurture sequence was an opt-in called Sacred Money Miracle. I still have it. If you want it, you can check it out. It was originally an 8-part video series. I could have charged for it, but I did it for free. People loved it. I had to follow a long workbook. And then they booked a call, and that's how I began to get clients. And remember, 60 people said, I booked 60 calls in about a period of 2 weeks, and 40 people said no to me and 20 people said yes, and I made 150K over about a 2 to 3 week period of time. Okay. To build that, it probably took me 2 to 3 weeks, but the actual sales cycle was a short cycle. And that's how I got started. And that was doing my very first mastermind called CEO Diva Business School. And basically everything that I teach now is that times 10, and it's been developed because I've been doing this now for 6 years. So I started that way, and there's really nothing stopping any of you from doing this now, okay? In terms of the tech that you need for this, it's not actually too complex. You can do, there's so many different incredible funnel systems that are very, very cheap, and you can basically drag and drop. That part, the tech part, isn't what's complex. It's ensuring that the sales process is there, the offer is there, the nurture sequence. How are you speaking to your audience? Sorry. Oh, my friend Vicky. And the traffic sources coming and that you've targeted properly. So this has got that first, these two pieces here are not going to work if that ad, that first bit when they first see you, that copy and that messaging isn't on point. It doesn't have to be long copy. It could literally be 3 lines in a video. It could be a GIF. Isn't on point and doesn't speak to your audience. A lot of mistakes that people make is they put too much on their page when it comes to the opt-in. Anyway, you have to test all of that. But once you get that down and you've tested it and it's converting in a strong way, and you're really happy with the numbers, you have this process that you just keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. I was sharing a story that a few years ago, it's about 3 years ago, I did an event in New York. I was already making it about 100 grand a month at the time, and I made a very big mistake. And I thought I was, cashed up, and it was all good. I had the best time. I had clients flying in from Finland and LA and all parts of America to come to stay with us. And I spent a shitload of money. We rented a beautiful apartment on Broadway and 11th Street. And my mother thought I was mad. She happened to be over there at the same time. And she was like, why are you spending so much money? And I'm like, well, it's a memory and it's my clients and I want to make it lush. And we shot people's video series and we went to an incredible spa and I did another 1-day intensive event with about 30 women. It was beautiful. But what I did was by the time I got back, I hired my very first coach to work under me. I had to put a lot of energy into training her. And I was really kind of burnt out. I had, my daughter was young. I'd been building this business, from scratch with not a lot of help because I really didn't find the people that I wanted to support me. I did try. So I did a lot of it myself. And I remember going to my bank account and I realized that I was pretty much broke again. So I went from having 100K months down to having about 2.5 grand in my account. And I was like, what the fudge has just happened? And I was in the fetal position on the couch, speaking to my husband, just so like, oh my God, do I have to look at everything? Do I have to watch everything? Very frustrated and angry and also scared. And my husband said, we need to go and get a PayPal loan. And because we had been making consistent income, thankfully we could get a PayPal loan. We got it in about 5 minutes. My husband applied for it while I was drinking wine and having a good sob. And we put that $20,000 onto ads, but we just didn't throw it onto ads. We already knew that this process worked. It was a proven process. It's a process that I've been teaching for 6.5 years, okay? It was a proven process. We just already had it built and we just needed to run traffic. So the leads started coming in. I started nurturing those leads with the video series that was really generous and really yummy and juicy. And then I started booking clients again. And the decision I made was, it sounds maybe very basic, never, ever, ever, once you got something that is working, turn off ads. If you're doing a webinar, and running a webinar process, well then run it consistently. You can have it working for you 24/7. If you have your funnels automated and you've got your traffic running and you've got leads coming in and day out, my phone's dinging also from people booking in calls and buying products. Hello. It wasn't like that at the beginning because I didn't have a proper system. But then once I just thought, okay, I'm never turning it off. And now I spend a lot of money on advertising and it's wonderful. You don't have to at the beginning. So I'll just do a very quick snapshot. But for example, my client Vero, just to let you know, is selling a $5,500 product okay? So for her to do, I think I worked it out, it's about 14 units a month multiplied by sort of about a 5,500 to be doing around the 80K. It's probably a bit more. They're not the exact numbers. I don't want to slow down to get that accurate. But she's got a scalable process. Now, she may be spending, I'm not sure, anywhere between 5,000 and 15K now a month to get those leads. It might be a lot less, I'm not sure, but this is just an example. So she's still made dependent either a 75K or a 65K profit once she's taken off the 15K or the 5K, dependent on what she's spending. And then she's probably got a VA or two, and she's also got a sales team. She doesn't do her calls anymore. So that's something else that we teach. So you can see how the profit margin is there. The time freedom is then there because you're teaching one to many and you've started to build a team, and then you have an empire. You are delivering incredible work. You're helping people radically change their lives, and you're not driving yourself into the ground during that process, okay? So this is the non-sleazy, divine, sacred way to build not only a 500K business, but a multi-million-dollar business, okay? So I hope I've been able to serve you today. I'm sending you so much love, a million divine blessings, and thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, so much love. Mwah. So gorgeous. If you've been listening and you're ready to grow your booming, beautiful online business, or you're ready to take your current business into a whole other divine, juicy stratosphere, schedule a call with one of my strategists. We're going to map out a 4-part plan to radically grow your revenue and your impact with authenticity, grace, and proven strategy. I cannot wait to explore how we can make magic together. So apply for your complimentary strategy call now at ceodivachat.com.